Welcome back to another edition of 3 the Hard Way. As LL Cool J said, don't call it a comeback. We ain't been here for years, but we putting it down like we've been here for years.
Yes, sir. Yes,
you guys know how we do it on 3 the Hard Way. I got to introduce my fellas because this show is nothing without my fellas. The influencer, Coach Mr. Hot Rod, Rodney Young. How you doing, Hot Rod?
What is going on? 3 the Hard Way Nation. It's good to be back home saying what's happening. Y'all know I'm going to say something controversial. You may not like it, but you will listen.
And my guy, everybody stand up at attention. The captain of our ship, Mr. Terrence Austin T. What's up, man?
What's happening, fellas, and what's happening, 3 the Hard Way Nation? Let's get it on. I missed y'all.
Thank you guys for coming in. Please tap the screen.
Yes.
Absolutely, man. It's been a long time. It feels like it's been forever. I am so happy to be back. 3 the Hard Way Nation, please hit that like and subscribe button. We are growing this thing bigger and bigger each week. Last video with Brian Barry, producer, author, about 13,000 views. Thanks for over 600 likes. Thanks for tapping in on that show, one of our biggest shows. We're going to continue to grow this thing. But now we're back, fellas. Yeah. Now we're back. Lots of stuff going on, you know, in the NBA, in the WNBA, in the NFL. Where I want to start right now is, you know, it's out there, but it's one of these topics that's kind of just out there in limbo. Talk about our guy, Mr. LeBron James. He was not offered a contract extension, so he opted into his contract. A lot of crazy things going on with the Lakers. LeBron has come out and made some comments that he understands that the Los Angeles Lakers, they have to go in a different direction in terms of paying attention to younger stars. Obviously, LeBron is in the conversation for being the GOAT, but he's getting up there in age, 20-plus years playing in the NBA. Like, what's your take on LeBron, his relationship, and what's going on with the Lakers?
Get it, T.
For the first time, it's not all about LBJ, okay?
That's
for
right.
The first time. And I think he's struggling with that. And you're right. You know, Ramona Shelburne of ESPN and I think Brian Windhorst reported that, you know, the Lakers didn't offer him an extension. They didn't. So, of course, he had no other option. So, you know, he opted in for that money. And then Clutch Sports came out, you know, making comments, you know, basically saying that we're going to see how this thing works. But as of recently, last few days, it seems as though LeBron is not happy with what's going on because it's all about Luka. It's all about the new, young, shiny toy, you know. And then they brought in DeAndre Ayton, I believe, and I don't think LeBron reached out to him. I don't know whether Luka did or not. But again, it all boils down to the fact that, you know, it's not all about LeBron anymore. And then, I don't know, Rod, have you been listening to local Cleveland sports talk lately? You know, some of the fans were saying, well, hey, if you're not happy there, come on back to us. But I don't want any parts of that because I don't want us to give up anything for him, okay? If he were to, you know, if the Lakers were to buy him out or however that works, and he came at a deal, okay, yeah, bring him on and, you know, see what he can do to help us out. But I don't want to give up, you know, anything that we have to get him, okay? But again, it's all boiling down to it's not all about LeBron anymore, and that's something that he's struggling with. So that's where I'll leave it, you know? What'd you say, Rod?
So everybody who don't know LeBron James' nickname, I call him Captain Cryptic, okay? Everything he does is planned. Everything he does, he knows the media is going to jump on. Captain Cryptic. Captain Cryptic. That's what it is. So I do agree with you, T. Yes, this is a part of LeBron James' life right now that he's uncomfortable. And he's uncomfortable because he's not in control. All right. This is the first time in his career that he was not offered a contract extension. That's why he opted in. And of course, it's $52 million, so I'm not going to be mad at him. All right. But it's obvious that the Lakers now, they are surrounding their team around Luka. And they've let it be known. All right. Since the team has been bought, they've let him know. So that's why he opted in. All right. And what I mean by Captain Cryptic, okay, they saw him at the Cavaliers facility working out.
Yeah.
Little do they know, he's been doing that his entire career. When he goes home to Cleveland, because there's a rule that NBA players, if they're whatever town they're in, they can actually go work out at that team's facility and not have to be a member of the team. All right, I dug up that, okay? So he's been doing that for a very long time, all right? They took a picture of him on the golf course where he had a hat on that said, I'm home, okay? Allie Clifton, who was a former reporter for the Cavaliers, he tweeted out a picture of her in a Cavaliers jersey, okay? He's cryptic. He's always been that way.
He helped launch her career. That's why she's on the big stage now because of him.
But here's the thing. He's trying to see if the Cavaliers are interested.
Of course he is.
Yeah. He's trying to see if that tweaks an interest. Now, listening to Brian Windhorst, let's understand the financials. He opted in for $52 million. All right. The only way he would be able to go back to Cleveland, there's a couple of ways. Either through a trade. Cavaliers can't trade. They're in the second tier. So they can't trade. They got to trade dollar for dollar. They don't have anybody making $52 million. Only person that's close is Donovan Mitchell. They're not going to trade Donovan Mitchell. Okay? So that's not going to happen. Number two, the Lakers would have to buy him out. Now, why would the Lakers buy LeBron James out for him to go back to Cleveland? They're not going to do that. But let's say
he would have to make things, Hot Rod, he would have to make things become very uncomfortable in La La Land.
Right. But
for them to want to be able to do that.
Right. But if that were to happen, there is a deadline. They have to do it before the season starts. If they buy him out right now, yes, he turns into a free agent. He can go to Cleveland. Okay? But if they do not buy him out before the league year for the season starts, he can't. Okay. So he right now is stuck between a rock and a hard place. And the thing about LeBron is LeBron wants to win one more before he goes. Okay. He wants to win one more. That's the thing for him. He knows he's not going to win that in LA. They went and got DeAndre Ayton. They're trying to surround pieces around Luka, not around him. And he's never, and I mean, other than not even in Miami, he's never been the second or third option. Well, right now he's getting ready at 41 years old. He's getting ready to turn into that third option. So
and remember now,
go ahead, T.
Remember now, too, fellas, this is new Laker ownership, okay?
Yeah.
This is new. And these are guys that know what they're doing. They know how to win. Look at what they're doing with the Dodgers. Now, the Dodgers are struggling right now, but they won the championship, last year. Again, so these are guys that aren't new at what they're doing. They know what they're doing. They know what they're doing.
Yeah, so go ahead.
No. I was about to say, Rod, you brought some great points, and you talked about the second apron a few minutes ago. This is why the second apron was put in place for just situation like these, because LeBron James has his eyebrows up looking at Cleveland, and he's working out in the facility. He's actually genius because, like you said it in a different way, but he's trying to be seen, and he's trying to gauge the level of interest that the Cleveland Cavaliers will have in him. I've seen stranger things happen before. The second apron limits them being able to put a deal together to go out and get LeBron James. Thankful for that. But LeBron James is, he is convincing enough behind the scenes and has great enough relationships within the Los Angeles Lakers organization. Not that they're going to do him any favors. I'm not saying that they're going to do him any favors, but stranger things has happened in terms of players being released to finish their careers. There may be guys in that front office that said, hey, LeBron got us a ring. He came here. He increased our popularity. He made us some money in terms of ticket sales. Maybe we will do him a solid and maybe find a way to get him back to his hometown where he can retire. I'm with you, T. I can't see a scenario, or looking at the pieces that the Cleveland Cavaliers have, where I would want to give up any sort of personnel assets to bring in LeBron James for what LeBron James is now and the trajectory of where the Cleveland Cavaliers are going. If
Right.
I'm the Cleveland Cavaliers, I look at it, I think about it, but I really don't see a move, unless I'm missing something, man. I really don't see a move out there where the Cavaliers can move assets, bring in a LeBron James, and have that thing work out for the Cleveland Cavaliers. And I said it before, we took our break a couple of weeks ago. The Cleveland Cavaliers have to be careful because the season didn't end the way they wanted it to.
Right.
But there's been a seismic shift in the Eastern Conference right now with the injuries and all of this stuff. You got Miles Turner going to the Bucks, but I don't really think that makes the Bucks a championship team. The Cleveland Cavaliers, people forget, was one of the best teams in the NBA last year. They got the number 1 seed last year. So the Cleveland Cavaliers, man, just got to be a little careful.
Right.
Very, very careful. And we're coming up. Last Tuesday was 15 years post the decision, made by LeBron. And, the question was, that was the beginning of player empowerment.
Right.
And really did that work in his favor, He went down to Miami. Yeah, they won 2 championships, but they, I think should have won more with that team. And then Golden State later on took it to another level. Now they kind of, grew organically and, we saw what they did. Okay. But again, you're right. Getting back to, the Cavaliers had to be very, very careful right now because the East is wide open.
Yeah.
East is wide open. And New York didn't, wow me with the hiring of Mike Brown. Okay. Atlanta did get a little better. Boston isn't the same team. Indiana isn't going to be the same team. So, hey, like Rod said, we're going to run it back with, pretty much the same pieces. And we need to get it this time. We need to get it. We need to make things happen. And you're right. We need to be careful with this LeBron thing. Don't give up anything for him. We can't do that. Can't do that.
Now I'm about to hip y'all up with something. So get ready.
Hit me up, Rod. Hit me up.
Please keep a lookout, not on LeBron, but be a lookout on Bronny. If by some happenstance that the Cavaliers give up a 2nd-round pick and bring Bronny in, trust and believe LeBron's coming behind him.
Why would you? Let me ask you this, and let's, outside of possibly enticing a LeBron James to come with him, why would you go out and get Bronny?
You wouldn't. Yeah, listen, from a basketball sense, it's absolutely idiotic. However, we must understand that LeBron is a genius when it comes to media. He's a genius when it comes to manipulating organizations. Okay? He knows that the Cavaliers are not going to bust up their core 4. He knows that. Okay? He also knows where he is financially. He's the first certified billionaire that's still playing ball. He don't need the $52 million, but I wouldn't turn it down either if I was making the money that he's making. Buyouts, him and Rich Paul, if he wants to get back to Cleveland, he's going to figure it out. Okay. Now, the thing is, Dan Gilbert at this point, because that's the question that I heard, does Dan Gilbert want him back? Because Dan Gilbert wants to win a championship without him. He wants to prove that he can do it without him. Now, let's get away from all the financials and let's just look at it from a basketball sense. If you put LeBron James on that Cavaliers team, they're going to win the Eastern Conference. Easy.
Oh, I believe that.
Easy.
I believe that.
Okay. So, like I said, LeBron wants that one last run. If he wants his farewell tour, that farewell tour is going to be in Cleveland because that's the only place where he's still revered. He's not revered in Miami anymore. He's not even top 5 in Los Angeles. Okay. Right. Look, there's still ego there, gentlemen. It's still ego. Mm-hmm. Okay.
And also too, Rod, not to cut you off, you mentioned Bronny. Now, hey, he looked pretty good in the game last night.
He did.
The kid can play some defense.
Yeah.
He can play some defense. He's got some energy, and he's got a lot of upside to him, okay? And I expect him to play, much better this upcoming season, okay? He's not great yet, but he's headed in that right direction. I like, the direction he's going in. And he's so young, man. He's still a kid, okay?
Yeah.
And like I say, I love the way the kid moves on the court,
Mm-hmm.
and I love his, his defense. So let's start right there.
Yeah,
He's something that can work with.
Be on the lookout for Bryce. His brother's the real deal.
Yeah, his brother can play, man.
His brother
can play a little bit. Yeah.
So definitely be on the lookout for that. I would never ever dismiss anything when it comes to LeBron James. Never.
Yeah. Well, I think another move that the Cleveland Cavaliers made, it was right before I left for vacation, was the Lonzo Ball move, which I thought it was a really, really good move by the Cleveland Cavaliers.
I like that.
I was glad for the Cavs, but I thought Ball was going to end up in Minnesota with the Minnesota Timberwolves, and the Cleveland Cavaliers just came in and swooped, which I thought it was
thank you guys for coming in.
A great move. Yep.
You're just with me watching 3 the hard way.
And I think, Hot Rod, you put it really astutely. I believe you did a live podcast on the Alonzo Ball thing, and I like what you said out there. Do you see this as a good move, a mediocre move for the Cleveland Cavaliers, or do you disagree with the move?
No, I absolutely love the move. I love the Lonzo Ball trade because Isaac Okoro, and we talked pre-show, Isaac Okoro had 4 or 5 years to prove that he could play in the NBA. And I'm not saying he's not an NBA player.
He didn't do it.
He's not an NBA shooter.
Right.
He just didn't do it. He's a top level defender. Okay. He can defend. All right. But he was constantly, when he was on the floor, you had a 5-on-4 defensively, because you could leave him in a corner and he wasn't going to hit. Now, the beginning of this last season, before he had the shoulder injury, he was about 40% from three-point land. He had figured it out, but then he hurt his shoulder and then he fell right off. Lonzo Ball, if Lonzo Ball is healthy, I think it is a sleeper deal. Kind of like the Alex Caruso in OKC. It's a sleeper deal, because if he stays, first of all, the risk is worth the reward. If he's unhealthy, they're not spending a lot of money on him. Okay? But Lonzo Ball brings something to the table that Ty Jerome did not bring. He's a pass first, but he's got speed, okay, to be able to run the offense. If he needs to shoot, he can, but he doesn't have to. He's a facilitator.
Right.
And now with Darius Garland being out for a few months, now he goes in it.
Perfect
and
fill
he's
in.
6'6".
Yeah.
Okay. So
size.
now, and he's a top level defender. Who you switching on now? Who are you going to switch on? All right. So now you don't have any mismatches. And then another sleepy deal that Kobe Altman made was bringing Larry Nance Jr. back. Okay.
Larry Nance Jr., right. Yep.
Because now you got to stretch big. Now, if you wanted to, you can play Evan Mobley at the 5 and throw Larry Nance at the 4. Because Larry now, he's not the high flyer he used to be, but now he's hitting his outside shot. So now you can stretch. Now you're definitely stretching the floor. Okay. And
he's got handles
too. Okay. Watched the Summer League yesterday. Kenny Atkinson was talking about the evolution of Evan Mobley. Okay. That now Evan has got to be in the MVP conversation now for the Cavaliers to get to anything. And quietly, I want y'all to hear, they are falling out of love with Darius Garland right now. For whatever reason. I don't know what it is. And listen, guys, it's not just the injuries. There's some things going behind the scenes, some immaturity issues that Darius Garland is having that I think the Cavaliers are getting tired of. And so by them, even though he got the surgery, them bringing in Lonzo Ball, them bringing having Craig Porter Jr. come in, this is an alert to Darius Garland. I don't think he's got much longer to prove himself. Okay. But to answer your question, I think Lonzo Ball, as long as he stays healthy, because I think he's played a total of 60 games in about 3 years. If I might be off with my math, but if he can stay healthy, I think it's a great deal by the Cavaliers.
Yeah, L. Train, I agree with everything Rod's saying. I love the pickup. I did. He's coachable. He's a team guy. You don't hear much from him. And again, the only thing that's gotten in his way is his health. So, and I was glad when they said he passed the physical and he's working out. So
Yeah.
I'm looking forward
Yeah.
to it. That was a great pickup. And like you say, with Larry Nance Jr., who is a Cleveland guy. I think he was even born in Cleveland. You know,
he
his
was born in
dad,
Cleveland.
longtime Cavalier. So yeah, he's one of our guys. Yeah, he's one of ours. So looking forward to it. And you're right. The Cavs need to be very, need to be locked in this year.
Right.
I'm not looking for the number one seed or this or that. I just want them to be healthy and to fight every night.
Right.
That's what I want
Right.
want them to
Right.
do. That's it.
Yeah, I think
Be
Darius
healthy and fight
Garland,
every night.
I believe you're right. The Cleveland Cavaliers are starting to fall out of love with him, but you
Yeah,
kind
they
of
are.
heard those rumblings at the end of not this past season, but the last season, whether or not Donovan Mitchell and him could exist in the backcourt. They were speculating that if one came back, the other one wouldn't come back. Here's from a basketball strategist standpoint, I see what the Cleveland Cavaliers are doing. And so for people that coach basketball and study basketball, I'm actually intrigued by this. The reason why the Lonzo Ball move is so significant is now on the perimeter, you've got multiple guys, fellas. You've got
Yes.
multiple guys that can switch 1 through 4.
1 through
That
5.
is an asset. That is a luxury. And now you're bringing in
Yeah, it
Nance
is.
Jr. He can
Yeah,
do
yeah.
the same thing. Darius Garland on the floor, you can't do that. So
Can't do
so
that, right,
so
right.
now you become fortified on the defensive side of the ball. You don't have Ball is not the scorer that Garland is, but Hot Rod, you're absolutely right. He is a elite defender, and he's
Yep.
gotten that. If this young man can stay healthy, what an
That's it.
asset for the Cleveland Cavaliers.
Yeah.
That's
He's
it.
a playmaker. He's got stellar vision, and he fits in to the system that Kenny Atkinson wants to run. So I thought it was just a box office pickup for the Cleveland Cavaliers.
And then real quick,
No
think
doubt,
about
no
this. There was a podcast, LeBron James, Kevin Durant, and
Yeah.
Steve Nash. They have
Yeah.
a podcast. And so Kevin Durant said, look, because Steve Nash loves Darius Garland. He says he's a great point guard. But they were talking about the size, the smaller guards are now taboo in the NBA. And he said it. He specifically said with Darius Garland, he said, listen, if I'm playing and I want to beat the Cleveland Cavaliers, I'm going at Darius Garland.
Yeah.
He called it
right.
out. He said, I'm going. And LeBron
Yeah, he did.
agreed.
Yeah.
LeBron was like, yes.
Mhm.
And once again, Captain
at him.
Cryptic, when he agreed, okay, so that's why I'm saying, if anything transpires, you like how I get back to LeBron? You see how, if anything transpires, you will know because either A, Bronny will show up, or B, Darius Garland will be gone.
Yeah. Sticking in Cleveland, let's flip to the league, the NFL. My brother sent me a text message. And just to give you some background, Greg watches the show every Sunday. And when the Cleveland Browns drafted Quinshon Judkins, he was not very happy about that draft pick. He actually liked the other Ohio State running back over Quinshon Judkins. And I defended the Cleveland Browns. Now, obviously, some news came out about Quinshon. We don't know the whole story as of yet, so we're not going to jump the gun and kind of speculate. But my brother just sent a text to me just showing me the story and not saying a word in the text. So
Yeah.
Quinshon Judkins right now is in a little bit of a situation with himself. Is this hurtful for the Cleveland Browns? Is it a distraction? I mean, I kind of know the answer to this, but I'm just going to put it out to the fellas, so you guys can kind of talk about it, debate it, whatever. Quinshon Judkins, what's going on with him? Is it a distraction?
Let me go
You got
right.
it. You got it.
Just like a few weeks ago when Shador was driving a rocket, through Strongsville or wherever that was. I said that's the last thing that we need. Now this, because training camp is almost about 2 weeks away.
Right.
It's
2 weeks
time to
away.
pad up and play. Okay, it's time to pad up and play. And now we got this. Okay, now we got this. Yes, it's a distraction. I haven't read the article, so I don't know the particulars, but it's the last thing that we need to have happen right now as, the season preparation for the season soon approaches. So I tell you, me being a military guy again, I'm big on mentorship. I'm big on mentorship, and I'm big on elders. Being around these guys to try to help them out, help them stay structured, in their day to day, and to keep trouble away from them. Now again, it all comes back on the athlete. It all comes back on the individual. But to answer your question, this is unfortunate. We don't need that. We play in the AFC North. We got Pittsburgh twice a year. We got the Ravens twice a year. We got the Bengals twice a year, and that's just even before you leave off the street. The fights that you're going to have out there. So yeah, it's a distraction, and hey, we'll see what comes of it. On the flip side, real talk though, if he's out there doing this kind of stuff, is he the kind of guy that we want around? Real talk. Somebody that's, if he's put his hands or done something inappropriate, is this a guy that you want in your locker room?
Yeah.
So it's unfortunate. Go ahead, Rod. Unfortunate.
For me, and we talked about this pre-show with Quinshon Judkins. I want to wait and see what the total report is before, I'll make a judgment on it. Now, is it a distraction to the Cleveland Browns? Yes. It is. It's a distraction. Do you miss Nick Chubb now? Okay. Do you miss Nick Chubb now? Because Nick Chubb in that running backs room he would be the guy. He would be that veteran.
He was the leader.
He's the
leader.
Yeah,
he's that grown
Role
man
model
in the room. Okay. Something that those young running backs need. All right. Who's the man in the room? Jerome Ford? No. You need a man in the room. And it would have been Nick Chubb. But going back to that, like I said, I'm going to wait and see the report, about it. Now, to my understanding, my audio went out. Hold on, guys. To my understanding, can you guys hear me? I'm sorry. Can you hear me? Can you guys hear me?
Yep. You're good now. You're good.
I got you now. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Now you're off.
I'm sorry. So I know. Yeah, my boy, I haven't been on for 2 weeks, guys. I hadn't used it. But anyway, so for Quinshon Judkins, I'm gonna wait and see the report come out. And then we'll make the judgment there. It is a distraction to the Browns. Right before training camp, he's supposed to be RB1. But welcome to the Cleveland Browns. I haven't heard of any off the field incidences when he was in college. So this is probably the first one. But if he's put his hands on a woman, if it's a domestic dispute, do you really want that on your team? But then once again, even with the accusations with Deshaun Watson, they spent $9 billion on him. Okay, so, but it's a distraction. You don't need that going into trading camp.
I'm going to go directly to not really some of the veterans on the team, because when you are away from the facility and you're not together, not that you can't have a little bit of mentorship going on there, but it's definitely hard when you're all not in the building together, in the same city together. I'm going to go after a little bit Kevin Stefanski. And I know these athletes have to, that they're grown-ups, they're athletes, so he can't police them all the time. But sooner or later, he's got to establish the culture. When I first got the job at my university, we have this thing every October, and it's called Oktoberfest. It's one of the biggest events around here ever. And before I arrived at my university, there was always some student athletes from our basketball team that would be getting dinged every year around Oktoberfest. So the first thing I wanted to do when I got the job is I wanted to cut that out. So I met with my team, and I left no question about if you were getting underage drinking tickets or if you were out there, if anything happened during Oktoberfest, there was going to be the threat of you losing your scholarship. There was going to be the threat of you getting kicked off the team. There was going to be dire consequences. Kevin Stefanski, who is the leader of this team, he's got to quiet the noise now in the Cleveland Browns locker room. Like T said, it's time to focus on football. You can't have these speeding tickets. That's not really a big deal.
Right.
We don't know the Judkins situation. We don't have all the details in that. But the thing is, you got to stop the noise now. Like, you got to stop putting yourself in these situations where it distracts. You're in the media for the wrong reasons, and you can't focus on football. I think that squaring lies with Kevin Stefanski's ability to do that. He's got to get his guys in the room. When everybody arrives at training camp, he's got to say, hey, we've got to quiet the noise. We're trying to win a championship around here. And I think that's paramount for the Cleveland Browns, fellas. I think they have to start implementing and doing stuff like that.
And honestly, I just now remembered this. Quinshon Judkins hasn't signed his rookie deal. He's one of two rookies.
You are correct.
That still has not signed his rookie deal.
I didn't know that.
Because unfortunately, I think the Texans, their second-round pick, they gave him a guaranteed contract, which doesn't happen with second-round picks. So the NFL is pretty upset that the Texans did that. Well, so did the Browns. Schlesinger, the linebacker out of USC, they gave him a fully guaranteed contract. So Quinshon Judkins had been sitting out because that's what he wants. He wants a guaranteed contract. Well, guess what? Now that this has happened, you better take what you get, son. You better take it and you better run with it. Now the Browns will use this, unfortunately, as a bargaining chip.
Right.
Like, son, you need to get in here.
Exactly.
You better sign a contract we give you.
Right.
Okay?
Yep.
Right.
Yep. Pat Mahomes, Kansas City Chiefs. People been talking about Pat Mahomes. Coming in a little bit overweight, a little bit pudgy. He's always had that kind of body, but now it's getting to the point where it's more noticeable. Sometimes when you're living at the top for so long, you're eating all the good food, you're not working out as hard as you usually work out, you become less hungry. Is that the deal with Pat Mahomes, fellas? Is this a big deal?
Well, let me, before Rod hits it up, his numbers the past 2 or 3 years haven't been the greatest, okay? And even when he came in the league, he said, hey, I'm not chiseled like Terrell Owens or Cam Newton or some of those other guys. He said that right off the jump. And he's been successful. He really, really has. Now, again, with this reporter, putting this out the other day, that may give old Patrick fire, okay? It may give him some fire and say, okay, I'll show you. I'll show you. And say, I may be a little chubby, a little chunky. I always have been, but I still can throw the daggone ball, And, and the fact that they weren't in the running last year, they kind of have something to prove. So I think he may have awakened a sleeping tiger, okay? He may have awakened a sleeping tiger because, again, Pat Mahomes is a bad boy. He's a bad boy. So we just have to wait and see, We'll have to wait and see.
I'm going to assume that Pat Mahomes is going to use this as a motivation. I mean, he not coming in there. He's not coming in there like the lefty hefty, the great late Jared Lorenzen. He not coming in there 300 pounds. He picked up a little bit of weight. You could see he's a little bigger, but he does. The thing is, and L Train said it, he does have the body frame where he's not, and you said it, T, he's not chiseled in granite. He looked like
he's no Cam Newton.
Right, he looked like he in the backyard drinking a couple cervezas and having having some barbecue.
It's like some baseball players.
Right.
I root for.
That's what training camp is for. That's what all season conditioning is for. I have no doubt that Patrick Mahomes will be ready for the season, and as long as that right arm is good, he'll be fine.
Yep.
In order to do what he did, that was pretty funny. And I'm sure
that's what reporters do, right?
They're gonna try to motivate you. So, but I have no doubt that Patrick Mahomes will be prepared for whatever he needs to get himself ready for this upcoming season. So I'm not worried about that.
Yeah, there's this little thing in the world. When you get out in the world, you become a man. There's a little thing called a credit report out there. And so when you look at Patrick Mahomes, his credit report has been absolutely fantastic. So, sometimes there are players that can come in a little bit pudgy. But I don't suspect that that's going to hurt Patrick Mahomes at all. He's going to be ready to go once the season starts. Hey, this is 3 the hard way.
Yeah, he will
Please,
be.
please hit that like and
Yeah, he
subscribe
will.
button. Go ahead, T.
Yeah, he'll be ready. And again, like I say, I think you awakened a
Sure
sleeping
did.
giant.
Sure
Again, his
did.
numbers, yeah, they did. His numbers haven't been the same the past 2 or 3 years, and they won a lot of games that they by luck, if you ask me.
Right.
They pulled some rabbits out of the hat the last couple seasons, but he'll be ready. And then his tight end, our homeboy from Cleveland Heights,
Oh,
hasn't
Kelsey.
he had a body
Oh, yeah.
transformation? Yeah,
Kelsey.
Kelsey. Yeah, Kelsey, and yeah. So he's got something to prove because people are telling him hey man, just go on home and retire this and that.
Yeah.
Hey, he's fired up and ready to go too.
Yeah.
So watch out for those Chiefs, and we already know they get all the daggone calls. They get all the calls. So hey, yeah, exactly. They get all the
No,
calls.
he'll be
So,
ready. He'll
There
be
you go.
ready.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, he'll be
I've been
ready. Yeah.
looking. I've been looking over in the WNBA, and fellas, really sneakily, you look at Caitlin Clark and the Indiana Fever. Has this been kind of a buzzkill season for them? Like what they had a couple of free agent signings this year. Everybody was touting them as being one of the power teams in the league. Their head coach has had 2 leave of absences during the season. Last I checked, they were under 500. Caitlin Clark has had to deal with a couple of injuries. This has been a buzzkill for the
groin
Fever
injuries,
this
yeah.
year. I mean, it just seems like it's just been a buzzkill. Like they just haven't reached expectations, and they've had a hard time getting into the rhythm of the season.
Yeah, well, Caitlin's been nicked up. How would I put it? Teams are coming after them. They've beaten
They
some
have.
good teams now. They've beaten some they've beaten some good teams, and then they've lost to some cupcakes. It's still early, okay? It's still early. Now I like what your links.
They doing work,
L
man.
Train up there in Minnesota. Hey, they're
doing
playing
work.
ball. They're playing ball. So it's too early to to say anything. But getting back to Caitlin, yeah, she's been nicked up. She's been nicked up and hasn't been 100%. And teams are coming after them. I'm liking what I'm seeing, though. I'm liking what I'm seeing. So we'll wait and see how it all turns over. Yesterday, I watched that game, Las Vegas and Golden State. That went down to the wire. I think the final score was 104 to 102.
Yeah.
Man, those girls were shooting lights out yesterday. They were shooting lights out. So we'll wait and see. We'll wait
Yeah,
and see.
I mean,
What do you say, Rod?
it through all the storms that Caitlin Clark has had to go through and all the controversy, people coming at her. Now, like I said, the rough and tumble WNBA is now starting to get to her. I just think right now, it is kind of a buzzkill, but it's bringing viewers. And
That's
I think
true.
that's what the WNBA
doubt.
wants. They want viewers. And so as much as people want to hate on Caitlin Clark and the Indiana Fever, they're bringing people to the game.
And the women are starting to support them a little bit more, which needs to happen. The women are starting to step
and
up.
I
Starting to step
also
up.
I look at the Indiana Fever. Once again, I'm looking at the Indiana Fever as the Larry Bird Boston Celtics. That's how I kind of equate them. Because Caitlin Clark, and I'm not saying it because they are the same skin color. I'm saying it because they both got game. And
Right.
Caitlin Clark,
And
right,
talk trash,
exactly.
too.
They both
And talk
have
trash,
game.
too.
So
Yeah, Larry talk trash.
No matter
Yeah,
what you think of Caitlin Clark, that young lady can ball. No matter how you feel
Yes, she
about
can.
her,
Yes, she can.
that young lady is putting butts in the seats. That's what she's doing. And so because of that, there's going to be a lot of hatred that come behind it. My biggest thing is just making sure that the Indiana Fever stay focused on what they're going to do. But to answer your question, L Train, yes, I do. I see it can be a buzzkill. It can.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see how after the All-Star game, what the Fever can do. Can they get into a rhythm? I think they're falling below expectations, but they've got Caitlin Clark, and Caitlin Clark can galvanize the city and the team in a heartbeat, and so I expect her to do so. I want to get to some questions, fellas, from people that have been writing in for the last couple of weeks. I tried to pull a couple of good ones out there. My first one that I want to tackle is my guy Trey from San Antonio. He poses this the 3 the hard way. He said, "Is Victor Wembanyama already the best two-way player in the WNBA in 2025?"
Wembanyama
in the
I'm about to
NBA.
say
No,
Wembanyama playing the NBA.
Yeah,
You
Vic.
said the WNBA.
in the
That's what
NBA,
I'm
yeah.
saying.
And
I got
about to say,
WNBA
that's-
in my head.
in
That's
NBA.
one tall,
yeah.
ugly
That would
looking
be
woman,
something else.
man.
Yeah. To answer the
Yeah.
young man's question, can't say it because he didn't play a full season last year. Now, does he have everything what it takes to possibly be that person? Yeah, he does. He's 7+7. You know, how'd I put it? And he's what would I say? He's if healthy, he's locked in. He's going to be locked in. He's playing in a good system. You know, got a good coach. So he can be. Can't say that he is right now because he hasn't proven himself. He hasn't been out there long enough. But does he have the potential to be that person? Yeah, he does.
I agree with
He
T.
does.
I totally agree with T. He hasn't got enough games up under his belt in the NBA
Yeah, he hasn't.
to quantify him as a two-way player. Does he have the potential of being one of the great two-way players? Absolutely. He absolutely does. He's got the skill set. He's got the size. From what I've seen, he's gotten stronger. He's put on a little bit of weight. Do you know that he's been working out with Buddhist monks over the summer? He's been literally. He went and he's been working out with monks over the summer. And he's picked up.
There's nothing discipline and structure there.
So I do see him potentially turning into one of the great two-way players, but to me, he's got a small sample size for me to say that right now.
Yeah, I think you're both right. He's got a small sample size. I'm going to go out on a limb, though, and looking at the question and looking at who some of the best two-way players in the NBA are and what I expect Victor to be, I think he is in 2025. I think he's going to prove himself to be the best two-way player in the league. I mean, when you add the element of being able to protect the rim, shot block, and then being able to score, and we're not even talking about rebounding and how he affects other. Oh my gosh, too. Man! This young man is going to be absolutely fantastic. I agree with you guys. His resume doesn't say right now, small sample size, that he's the best two-way player in the league, but I think he's going to be that definitely in 2025.
Right.
Here's one for you. Luka from Milwaukee. Hopefully that's not Luka Doncic. He says
I hope it is.
Do the Bucks adding Miles Turner make them an Eastern Conference final contender? Woo, okay.
No. No. Not saying anything against Miles, okay? Because it is an addition. But a contender, no, because you still got us out there. You got Atlanta and what they've done. Who else? There's always going to be somebody that we haven't talked about, okay? Or that's going to come out of nowhere. Yeah, it makes them a contender, but I wouldn't put them in. I wouldn't even put them ahead of us. I wouldn't put them ahead of us, and I wouldn't put them ahead of New York. You know, even with the addition of Mike Brown, who I said earlier, doesn't really wow me. So it makes them, you know, no, not. It doesn't put them in front, up front. No, not up front. What do you say, Rod? I don't think so.
Here we go, and I hope I don't upset anybody in your
upset them, right? You don't care about upsetting people.
So here, you know, I always want to smoke. Y'all know.
Since when you
y'all know me.
Yeah.
But Miles Turner, I think was the let me be. It was just a dumb move. I don't even see how Miles Turner makes them better. He doesn't.
Yeah, he does some of the same things that players already got. He's another one of what they already got. I would have just kept
Brook Lopez. Okay. Because you traded Brook Lopez for Miles Turner. I mean, you basically got rid of Brook Lopez and brought in Miles Turner. Yeah. You brought in the same style of player.
They need ball handlers and scores.
You brought in the same style of player. So it didn't make any sense. And then you went on ahead and you disrespected Damian Lillard. And you think that by bringing in Miles Turner is going to make you better? You think by bringing in Miles Turner is going to keep Giannis Antetokounmpo around? No. That absolutely did. What? Okay, so no, that doesn't make them a contender. That makes them a pretender. okay? Because you still have the Orlando Magic, who have just bolstered their roster. You still have the Atlanta Hawks, who bolstered their roster. The New York Knicks is still going to be around. Oh, by the way, the Cleveland Cavaliers are going to run it back. So if you talk about the Milwaukee, but the Detroit Pistons and JB Bickerstaff, that's good call. So Milwaukee is not even in the conversation, and you thought by bringing Miles Turner in that was going to get you over the hump. So good luck, and watch the Milwaukee.
Come trading deadline, Giannis may want to get out of there. Come trading deadline, Giannis may say, "Get me out of here."
Figure it out.
Yeah,
Giannis is trying to get out of there now.
Yeah, well, he's saying right now he's okay, but come trading deadline, he may make some noise.
Do you think that when they said, "Hey, Giannis, we've brought in Miles Turner," okay, I'll sign that next contract? No, he didn't. He didn't at all. This is a dumb move. That was just stupid. But you know who the owner is of the Milwaukee Bucks, right? It's our very own Jimmy Haslam.
Yeah. Listen, man, I would say this, and you know, I always try to play devil advocate in these situations because I try to look at things from a lot of different perspectives. Number one, let me answer the question. No, it does not make them Eastern Conference contenders. Rod, I love what you said, that they are pretenders. But I will say this. The move that they made for Miles Turner, I disagree that it was a stupid move. I would put another title on it. I would say that it's a desperate move. The Milwaukee Bucks can't move. Like, they can't move, and they're desperate to keep Giannis Antetokounmpo. So in their minds, they're thinking rather than make no moves, which we know can't keep Giannis, we're just gonna start throwing darts at the wall. And so now you have a guy that was just vying for an NBA title, you know, someone that's still a pretty good player. At least you can go to Giannis right now, even though it wasn't a great move. You can go to Giannis right now and say, "Hey, Giannis, we're trying, man. We're trying." So that's where this move comes from. On the surface, it was not a great move for the Bucks. It doesn't move the needle. You jettison Damian Lillard out of the organization. Who knows what's going to happen with Dame? But to answer the question, man, it does not move them any closer to an NBA title, an Eastern Conference title, an Eastern Conference appearance. I agree with you, Rod. Giannis Antetokounmpo wants to get out of there right now. He wants to get out of there right now. And so that's what they're going to try to do to make that happen.